this is a regular meeting of the Board of Trustees for Springfield Township, and as is our usual practice, we begin the meeting with a Pledge of Allegiance. If you'll stand and join with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mrs. Price, do you want to call the roll, please?
Roll call, Mrs. Chapman. Here. Mr. Young.
Here.
Mr. DeLauro.
Here.
We have a number of items on our agenda, which I think was available at the back, and most of them are business items. I think, Mr. DeLauro, you have matters to address dealing with administrative matters.
Yes. I move to dispense with reading of the minutes and approve the minutes to date.
I second it.
Roll call, Mrs. Chapman.
Yes.
Mr. Young.
Yes.
Mr. DeLauro.
Yes. I move to approve payment of bills and payroll as prepared by the fiscal officer, subject to audit.
Second.
Roll call, Mrs. Chapman.
Yes.
Mr. Young.
Yes.
Mr. DeLauro.
Yes. I move to approve the supplemental appropriations budget for 2023 per the attached Exhibit A, as prepared by the fiscal officer and submit to the Summit County Fiscal Office.
Second.
Roll call, Mrs. Chapman.
Yes.
Mr. Young.
Yes.
Mr. DeLauro.
Yes. I move to approve the reallocation of appropriations per the attached Exhibit B for proper documentation of expenditures.
I would second that.
Roll call, Mrs. Chapman.
Yes.
Mr. Young.
Yes.
Mr. DeLauro.
Yes. I move to approve the invoice from Public Entity Risk Services of Ohio, PERSO, in the amount of $10,000 and paid to Otarma from Fund Line 1,110,380.
And that's a bill through our liability insurance.
That's correct.
Okay, I would second it.
Roll call, Mrs. Chapman.
Yes.
Mr. Young.
Yes.
Mr. DeLauro.
Yes. And lastly, I move to approve the SIB loan payment of $7,633.36 from Ohio Department of Transportation and paid from Fund Line 1,760,730,2914. Is this
That's
for the improvements on Canton Road?
Yes.
Okay.
For contract with ODOT.
Yes.
Contract. Second.
Roll call, Mrs. Chapman.
Yes.
Mr. Young.
Yes.
Mr. DeLauro.
Yes.
Next on our agenda was an issue dealing with condition at 529 James Avenue, Akron 44312. Is there anybody here to speak to that issue? Okay, not hearing anyone. It has come to our attention that a condition exists at 529 James Avenue, which is parcel number 51-03655, and such condition in probability exists as a nuisance in the community. Ms. Breath, notice was sent to the property owner relative to this matter. Okay, and I think I recall that notices have gone to the property owner as far back as May of 2022, May 22nd, also in July 6th of 2022. The property owner, I know at one point was brought in here and we had discussion with her. What I'm going to ask you to do as the zoning administrator is to give us a report as to whether a nuisance condition continues to exist based on the definition of what would constitute garbage, refuse, and other debris as outlined in our resolution dealing with nuisances. And to provide us with that report in advance of our next meeting. And it would be the intention, I think, of the board to determine if, in fact, that condition exists. And if so, we will give the property owner a date certain by which it has to be removed. In other words, if this board agrees with your report that a nuisance exists, there'll be an order issued with a date certain that the property owner removes the items or will remove it for them. Okay? So that we would expect a report from you for our next regular meeting. Okay, thank you. Next, there is okay, a similar issue exists as to the property at 1025 Onondaga Trail. A notice went to the property owner on this particular property. We haven't had any contact from this property owner. I think we're going to proceed in the same vein, that we'll issue a report for our next meeting, and if there's a continuation of the condition, then there'll be a date certain, and if not cleaned up, we're going to order a company to remove all of the items. Okay. Next, we come to the question of the existence of a nuisance at property located at 1840 Orchard Lane, which is parcel number 51-06937. And the issue was notice sent on this particular property. Okay. Is there anybody here to speak to this? Sir, would you step to the podium? So, would you state your name and where you reside?
It's Joseph Long, 1840 Orchard Lane.
Okay. And who's the owner of 1840 Orchard Lane?
John Long,
Okay, and who is John Long?
grandfather.
Okay, and where does he live?
4627 Chrisman Road.
Chrisman?
Yeah.
That's in the city of Greene?
Yep. Akron, 44319.
Okay. Pardon me? Okay. What do you have to say?
I just, I work 15 hours a day every day, but I seen the letter and I'm trying to address what I can. Like the Ford Ranger runs, I just haven't put a plate on it. And then the pictures that he took, my property's only 85 feet wide, so he took them from the neighbor's property. So where my driveway starts, that's my property, and then where the fence starts, that's my 85 feet of property going straight down. Mm-hmm. So there's not much room to park many vehicles in the driveway. So we got them parked all over the place.
The photographs, though, that have been presented to the board show all kinds of material.
Yeah.
Building materials, scrap.
Yeah, and some of it has been removed already because scrap is up right now. But the building material, that's so I can try and build a fence when I get the permit and money. But,
The problem is, I understand from Mrs. Chapman that she's been working with you since August.
yeah. Well,
And-
I had the EPA at my house charge me $10,000 fine, so.
Have you paid that fine?
No.
Okay. I don't know what it's going to cost to remove all that, but it looks to me as though it falls right within the category of what constitutes a nuisance under our regulations. So if we're going to ask Ms. Breath to notify Grandpa,
Okay.
does he know about the condition? Does he come visit?
Yeah.
Okay. It is the pain of removal is going to fall on Grandpa if it's not removed.
Right.
So I'm going to ask Ms. Breath to notify Grandpa, give us a report, and if those items are not removed,
Right.
then we'll have to have a company come in and remove all of it.
Right.
Any question about that?
No. No, but I'm gonna make it square. I mean, I have till May 31st, correct?
Did we give some kind of date?
It says on the paperwork, May 31st.
Let me see the papers. This said March 31st.
Oh, March.
I might be wrong, but I think that's passed.
It is. Yeah.
So we're gonna, basically, we're gonna act on it in 2 weeks. Would it be May, what is our next regular meeting?
May 11th.
May 11th.
Okay.
You gonna have it cleaned off by May 11th?
I can sure try.
I would advise you to get going on it. Because the pictures that have been provided to us, I don't think there's going to be any doubt that the board will determine that that constitutes refuse, trash, debris,
Right.
and that it's a nuisance as it relates to your neighbors. Okay. Good luck.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. We have, and I will say, just so you understand, under the procedure legally, we will be entitled to act upon and issue the order next meeting without a specific further notice to you.
Right.
Okay? Okay. Our meetings are supposed to start at 6 o'clock. We start as soon as we can, and that would be May 11th. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right. Okay, our next item, Mrs. Chapman. Yes, you have a matter for the police department.
I move to approve the retirement of Sergeant Eric East effective June 1st, 2023. Sergeant East started as a reserve officer in September of 1995. He was promoted to full-time January of 1997 and promoted to sergeant November of 2006. Sergeant East currently serves as the department PIO officer,
Public Information Officer.
and previously served on the Metro SWAT team for 4.5 years. Sergeant East will be honored for his 28 years of service to Springfield Township at the May 25th, 2023 trustee meeting. The board recognizes and thanks Sergeant East for his many years of dedicated service to our township. We will miss him, for sure.
Do you have other things you want to add? I was all set to, when the chief was here, to say, Jack, tell us it isn't so.
I know, it's a bummer. Actually,
Sergeant East and I were both hired the same day in September of 1995 as reserve officers. We weren't paid. We worked for free for a year and a half before we went full-time in January of 97. So, and we both got full-time at the same time too. So it's kind of bittersweet to see him leave. I'm not retiring, but he gets to retire, and he was previously in the military, so he has those benefits as well. But it's bittersweet to see him go. He's a great officer. He was a great patrolman. He was actually a detective for a little while as well. But he was a good sergeant, and he serves as the PIO officer, the public information officer. So when you see the news, it's his face that you see, and we're going to miss him in every aspect. So I just wish it wasn't so, but it is.
Yeah, and, you know, he is good in dealing with people, and we've also seen, I mean, difficult situations that he's been in. I think of one that was dedicated to film when he was the coolest hand dealing with a problem. And so really he's been a tremendous officer for us. And so it's kind of sad to be accepting a resignation.
Definitely, it's
How long
difficult.
was he in the Navy?
4 years, I think. Yeah, he served in the Navy. And then he went to the police academy as soon as he was out, and then got hired on here right away.
Okay, so I get, with regret, we accept the resignation. I guess I second the motion.
Roll call, Mrs. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. DeLauro?
Yes.
Okay, are there other matters that have to come before the board, in terms of an official action to be taken? If not, I know if there's anybody here to speak to us, we're ready to listen. And we can begin with Mr. Monk. We do ask you to state your name and your address, so
My name is
anyone
Josh.
listening to this knows who is talking.
My name is Joshua Monk. My address is 2128 Manor Road in Uniontown, Ohio. This is on the north side of Killian Road, so it's Summit County and part of the Springfield Township. My reason for being here this afternoon is to talk to you about the flooding that's happening on my property and the properties of the neighbors 2 houses to the north of us. We're being affected because the neighbor to our south, our direct neighbor to our south,
And
right here.
does that, when we're on film, does that get broadcast as a part of it? Okay, that's good.
So I live in this house right here, 510-1567, and then my neighbors, the Williams here, and I can't remember Kitty's last name for the life of me, but she lives here. But we live in this house, and we're getting flooding from a buildup in an area that is normally runoff from just wetlands, okay? The people who live in this house have put dirt to stop the flow of water, stop the normal flow of water, and what this has caused is back up into my property, into this property here, and also it's raised the levels of this pond. Kitty's house is high enough on the land that it doesn't get to her house. Ours hasn't gotten to the house, but last year it kept our sump pumps in our basement running the whole spring. I mean, it was just terrible. But that's why we were here today, to see what we might be able to get done. Like I said earlier this evening, this is our first time coming to a town hall in a little while, and it's never been for something like this. My neighbors and I have always been able to work things out, and we've been able to get things reconciled, and this time it's just not working. We've been working on this problem for 3 years. They moved the dirt in September of 2020, and we started noticing the backlog of water in that following spring in 2021. And when it went away during the summer, we thought, oh, hey, everything's great. And then all of a sudden, 2022, it comes back, and it had moved 32 feet up our fence. Okay, now, it's probably only 8 or 10 inches, but can't get a lawnmower down there, you can't walk down there without having a pair of knee-high boots on that are waterproof, and it just makes it to where you can't use the property. My shop is even down to the back side of the property. Right there is my shop, and it's a 32 by 40 pole barn with concrete floor. I can't get my truck there, I can't store my boat there. My motorcycles, I had to take them out at a certain time of year. Later in the season, everybody's out riding motorcycles right now, and I'd have to wait until May to get my bike out because it was sloppy wet. So this is the things that we're running into right now, and we were just here today to try to find out what our next steps might be.
You know, we talked a little bit before the meeting. I think in probability, it's a matter of private liability. I would get soil and water. I would get in contact with the person that who Mrs. Breath had given you.
She gives Brandon Anderson's name.
And get them back out to evaluate it. It would seem to me that if there's been a natural water course, that there is not the privilege to dam it up.
Right.
And the thing is, though, that the township generally does not have jurisdiction to take action where it's all on private property, as opposed to being in the public right of way.
And that's what we were trying to find out. You know, like I said, we didn't know what moves to make. We are private. We don't want to take it to court if we can avoid this, but we're not going to let our property get damaged. And our neighbors have already had damage from their properties, and things may end up there anyway. But we like our property, and we like to be able to use our property, and we'd be more than happy to talk to our people at Soil and Conservation and bring him out. We had him out last year, Alex. It wasn't Brandon, but it was Alex. And we had him out last year. Kitty's Pond wasn't to the level it is now. She, like I said, she's probably 18 inches up, and her runoff from her pond is about a 6-foot channel Fred had cut years and years ago. And you can't even see the channel that he cut now. It's like 25 feet wide. Mr. DeLauro, you live north of that property. You live there, right? Yes. You have a house and shop up there. So he's uphill from all of us, and he can see when he goes out what everything is looking like. And it doesn't look anything like this now. So the water is way over the levels.
One of the questions too has always been if there was ever any county ditching that was done that they're impeding. But it looks more like it's just a natural water course. I mean, I think we could make inquiry with the county engineer to see if there's any help they can provide.
I know at one time, remember, we had a problem with the water covering the road, but that was
Right.
the ditching in the front, nothing in
Yeah,
the
that's
back.
ditching on the road.
Right,
And,
yeah.
you know, the ditch that goes under, they've got a pipe that goes under that road. And sometimes it'll clog up and it'll leave flooding on the road. The geese love it, but it goes away after a few days.
Yeah, when it is flooding that covers the road, then we do have responsibility.
Yeah, that's all.
I know that the county is beginning to implement a stormwater management program, which may have impact on this kind of problem. However, it's hard to imagine that they would agree or think that interfering with or obstructing a natural flow of water that's existed historically is appropriate.
Right. The way that the water is sitting now is causing damage to the Williams house. You know, they've had their basement flood twice in the last 2 years, 3 years. And they've had septic issues with it ever since. So we haven't gotten to that point yet. Like I said, I don't want to get to that point, but they have, and they just haven't taken measures yet. We're trying to take these measures, trying to be a little proactive before things really get to coming to a head. But yeah, we'll contact the Summit County Soil and Water Conservation and see what they have to say again. And we'll make sure they get out there while Kitty's Pond is still over full. That'll help. So, and if Mr. DeLauro, if you'd like to stop by and take a look, just to put your eyes on it, you're more than welcome to come by the house. So,
You can be our eyes and ears on this problem.
Stop by. Looks like we're about to get quite a bit of rain, so.
yeah, come after the weekend. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna add a little bit of water for us, so.
I wish I had an immediate solution for you, but it looks like you're gonna have to take some steps.
And that's fine. We don't mind taking steps. We'd just like to come to a solution sometime.
And you've had contact with this other property owner and to no avail.
To no avail. They sit there and they're making it sound like they're the victims because they have water in their yard, and we're the three neighbors to their north are suffering because of the things that they have done to the property. So, I mean, they're trying to make it out like they're the victims, and it's just talking to them has gotten no course of action, nothing permanent anyways. So,
Okay,
all right, thank you.
thank you.
All right,
Thank you. Okay, is there anybody else that's here that wishes to speak to us on any matter? Do you have some announcements?
I don't have any today. Oh,
What's
stay
that?
on the, oh. Yeah, where's my tickets? I do have, I guess I do have one announcement. We are bringing back Steak on the Lake. It will be May 13th, Saturday, May 13th from 6 to 9. It will be in the center on the lake. I know in the past we've had a tent outside. Just with the weather right now, we didn't want to try to plan it and have to cancel. So we're going to have it in the center. It'll still be steak dinner and beer and wine, some entertainment. It'll be $50 a person or $90 for a couple. It's always been a good time. I mean, it's nice. If it's nice, we will sit out on the deck and overlook the lake and listen to music. But like I said, it's always in the fall, early fall, we've had it like on the lake under a tent, but we don't want to really risk it in the spring here in case it may rain. So again, it'll be in the center on May 13th. If you'd like tickets, you can stop by or call Kelly or I, stop by here, whichever you'd like. So, you sold all yours? I'll give her some of mine if you call.
I bought my ticket.
You bought your ticket
Yes,
already?
yes, sir. Are there any other matters? Okay. Anybody else here to speak to us? If not, it might be a little chilly, but it's a nice night, and I'm going to move to adjourn.
Second?
Roll call, Mrs. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. DeLauro?
Yes. Meetings are.